Ultimately, it's people and society. We have to organize around how we use technology. I think you're raising a very important point in thinking through about how technology is not isolating or immersive in a way in which it prevents you from engaging. I think genuinely is a good topic. I think all of us who have kids worry about it and struggle about it. I did, like when our sons were playing in the middle school behind it's what you want to see them do more of. But every generation always is very worried about technology of the future. It's always been true when you look back at it, and then so I think that's part of the process. Technology done correctly can enable interactions in the real world. One of the companies we spun out of Google, which was Niantic, I did that. Precisely that with Pokemon, and got people to move about and do stuff in the real world, which I found inspiring. But I think I think over time, part of, even if we get augmented reality right today, when you see people on their phones walking on the streets immersed, you see that in some ways technology forces you to engage with it. It hasn't adapted enough to how humans live life, and so part of solving more natural ways by which you can interact with computing, it will always be computing. Understanding what you're looking at may actually help us do this better. Done wrongly can be even more isolating, but done correctly with the right attributes, I think it can help reach that gap. And so I think that's a potential for AR work. I am incredibly excited about this next phase of the future of work, and I think 20 years ago Google was it's now done so much around the valley. People take it for granted, but Google did rethink what workspaces could be. They thought workspaces could be fun. We had slides in our offices. We bridged we change workplaces pretty radically. We gave people a lot of agency. Our employees had a lot of agency. It felt fun to be in the offices, and we didn't think that was at odds of being productive, right? So the sense of creating community, fostering creativity in the workplace, collaboration, all makes you a better company. I view giving flexibility to people the same way. To be very clear, I do think that you strongly believe in in-person connections, but I think we can achieve that in a more purposeful way and give employees again more agency and flexibility. So I think hybrid work is great. We're going to leverage the scale of the company. We have many locations around the world, so people can move to other places and work. We are starting with a 3-to-2 hybrid option, but we encourage employees to apply to be fully remote as well, and we have supported 85% of those applications. So I'm excited. You earlier asked about diversity. One of the best ways we can now approach diversity is actually showing up in places where diverse talent is more importantly, when we get that talent, them being in communities which have the supporting structure for them. And so we are now in Atlanta, in Chicago, in DC, recruiting employees. I think being able to support the participation of women in the workforce, I think the flexibility is going to be a huge asset. So I'm excited by it, and I think and I think I find when people come back, and people are very excited to come back to the office. By the way, as we've opened up, we are easily at over 70% already back to our pre-pandemic presence in the offices, and it's growing. But giving people that choice, it always bothered me that the stress around commutes, or when people at parent-teacher conferences or doctor appointments, balancing all that, there's a lot of stress which people are carrying. So I think it gives us a chance to rethink also as a technology, since we build products like Gmail, Docs, Meet, and so on. It gives a chance to rethink products. 2 and then make it all work better so. I think it's one of the most exciting things that's happening in the workforce. You know, and I think you'll see the benefits of it over time. I think you making that decision is the most important thing you can do. You're breaking a tie and it unlocks the organization to move forward. And so and it's an important thing. One of the mentors here, Bill Campbell, thought back to me early. Every week he would see me. He would ask me, what ties did you break this week? And so it's always struck with me. So I view making these decisions as you're really helping the company, and so that makes it a bit more fun. The second is with time you realize most of those decisions are inconsequential. Might appear very tough at the time. It may feel like a lot rides on it. But we look later and you realize it wasn't that consequential. There are a few consequential decisions, and judgment is a big part of leadership, and you don't always get it right and you have to learn from it. But I think most decisions are in that consequential, and so so thinking through both helps me think about it as it's just another normal day in the office, and so you keep going through it. You think sustainability is going to be the defining issue for us to get right in the next decade or so. So we are definitely committing Alphabet seriously just to get to a carbon-free goal. It would involve billions of dollars in incremental investment from us, but we think it's the right thing to do. It'll be good for us as a business, I think, over time. But I think that is something I want us to be able to get right, and I think definitely something we'd be proud of if we can get there. Okay, first question I presume you're asking, by 2030, how do you see us engaging with governments and so on? Look, I think tech one of the bigger more profound changes underways. I think technology is going to be a regulator, and part of as a company working at scale is anticipating working constructively with regulators, and because I think at the end of the day technology affects citizens, and so every country is going to be thinking about this deeply. And take Europe's GDPR as an example. It's an important foundational privacy legislation, right? And I think we have to anticipate it. We invested almost 18 months of work to get ready for it, and I think it's given certainty to both European citizens. It gives businesses certainty about how to operate. So that's one example of legislation working, and so we would expect to be constructively working with governments around the world. Arsenal mentioned I think that's going to be important for us to get dry, and I think governments will end up playing a key role in the tank. Watching the next generation blossom, and I think society always worries that the next generation isn't as good as they are. That is not true, and the next generation ends up making the world even better. So that inspires me. Be authentic to yourself, and then be the best leader you can be. I think there's no one right template, and don't try to be in someone else's mouth.